think we're going now. All right. So I had a couple of thoughts about how it's going to go down if a quote civil war or next American Revolution comes about due to these proposed assault weapon bans and gun control laws, red flag laws, and such. Um, there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to comply with that, and probably even some active resistance. Um, Now, the way I foresee it, even those who just simply do not comply, um, there's going to be confiscations, um, and not all law enforcement is going to go along with it. They're not going to, some of them are going to be like, no, I'm not comfortable going to civilians' houses and taking their guns unconstitutionally, and they'll just be reassigned. They'll be put on parking detail or something, given a desk job, or possibly even fired. But history has shown that law enforcement, there will be others to step up and take the place of those who are unwilling to fall in line and do as they're ordered. Um, so, yeah, law enforcement is going to participate. Um, and the first couple of times, some civilians, some law-abiding citizens who just choose not to comply with these laws get killed by law enforcement. The first couple of times, there's going to be public outcry, but um, nothing's going to happen. We've seen it time and time again. Ruby Ridge, um, Waco, Texas, Bundy Ranch. The list goes on and on. No civil war ever came about because of it. It's gonna take massive, large scale civilian deaths due to these gun confiscations for the actual Civil War revolution to get started. And at that point, citizens are going to have to get united and organized. And even then, we don't really stand a whole hell of a lot of chance. I mean, yeah, guerrilla warfare tactics have proven effective, but the United States military is so sophisticated nowadays, with drone strikes and um, all the other technology that they have. Um, Even guerrilla warfare it isn't going to prove very effective, um, not as far as winning, but it's going to cause some destabilization. Um, Now, here's where it gets interesting. So we've got citizens who have united and organized against a tyrannical government. And chances are some members of the military, National Guard, are going to defect and not participate in this tyrannical government. They may or may not decide to join with the civilians in a defense. Um, but I tell you who will undoubtedly provide support, and that's the Russians. They will provide arms. They'll probably provide military personnel and training. And if you don't believe me, history has shown, how do you think Al Qaeda gets their AK-47s and their RPGs? How do you think all these other terrorist organizations, who are defined as terrorist organizations, because they're most of them start out because they're rising up against a tyrannical government or a government that they don't support, and they either get support from the U.S. or from Russia, depending on which side favors their motives, or can be used to their advantage. And it'd definitely be in the Russians' advantage to support the American people um, in this destabilization of the American government. Um, so we'd be getting arms and training and possibly military support from the Russian government, and to the ends that it will definitely destabilize the American government. And now that they have embedded troops to support the American people on our soil, they'll be poised to make a conquest. They can basically take over the government at that point under the guise of liberating it for the United States people, but that's not going to be the case. We all know that. Um, Basically, they'll take over the United States, and it's a very intelligent strategy. Um, it really wouldn't surprise me at all if Russians are encouraging some type of gun control law bills here to help kick things off so that it'll destabilize and make it easier to take over the United States. Um, Anyways, that's my thoughts on it. Let's have a discussion about it if you've got any thoughts on how you think it would go down. You know what? Before I end it, though, I want to point out a few things. Because a lot of people they're I'm ready to kick off the boogaloo. Let's get this Civil War started. Okay, I don't think you really understand what's going to happen. Um, the first thing that the citizens are going to have to do to even be remotely effective is they're going to have to take the grid down. We're going to have to use some kind of EMP device or something, basically to cut electricity, cut communications, make all them drones ineffective. And people these days, they can't live a fucking day without their cell phone. Imagine how they'd survive off fucking grid without being able to fucking go to McDonald's and get a hamburger. Uh, Much less not have internet connection. And people just, they don't think these things through. And that's why I say, unless the civilians that decide to rise up against the tyrannical government, unless they find a way to take the grid down and are prepared to live that way for a very long time, they're not going to stand a chance. And I wish I had a better solution, because I mean, we know voting doesn't work. We got lucky in 2016. Okay. um, the Democrats underestimated us, and they thought they had the election in the bag. And from out of nowhere, we managed to get a fair election in an otherwise rigged election. And believe me, the 2016 election was rigged in Hillary's favor. Um, so, anyways, they've learned a lot since then. And if you don't believe me, look back a couple of years. How do you think that, like, people like AOC got elected, and Rashid Tlaib, and that other Muslim from Somalia, the one that I don't even remember her name, but the one some people did something. You can't tell me those people got elected. Okay, they were appointed. Those elections were rigged. And if you remember back when that election was going on, there was all kinds of, like, votes that came out of nowhere, and some that were suppressed. And so the Democrats have gotten better about rigging elections. And I'm sure in 2020, this upcoming election, Trump would definitely win it, but they've gotten better, and they're not going to let him do another 4 years. They're not, if they have to assassinate him, they will, but they're not going to let him do another 4 years, and that's probably more likely to kick off the boogaloo than gun control. Um, that'd be the icing on the cake, but either way, it's like Rick Gore says, "Good luck, America," because we're fucked. Either way you look at it, it's either live under democratic rule or straight up Russian dominance. Anyways, give me some feedback on what you think about this upcoming boogaloo. Thanks for watching.